Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach. All right, team. Hello, and welcome back to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. It is Shelby here today, and I feel like the interview queen here lately. This week, I have been interviewing a lot of wonderful people. They'll probably shuffle out at different times for our podcast. But today, I am here with the wonderful Sally Davidson. Sally Davidson is one of our mentees that has been in Laura's group. Sally, you were in January or March of 2022. When did you start? March. Okay, beautiful. So Sally I remember the first few months whenever Laura and I would sit down every month and review goals and client income and just kind of review the statistics. I'm like, who is this Sally Davidson woman? She is crushing it. Like she's flying under my radar. I don't see her on my newsfeed on Facebook. Like she's totally crushing it. So I've gotten to witness Sally from a distance. We got to meet in person this summer, and I've just really enjoyed getting to know the little tidbits about you. Even before we hit record on this podcast, I feel like I got to peel back the next layer of your journey with you briefly. But Sally is the reason we are on this podcast today. Sally is the winner of our connection challenge that we did in the mentorship a few months ago. And I'll elaborate that in a little bit. We're here to talk about her experience with just connecting with a ton of people. But I want to give a little bit of background on who Sally is and let her introduce herself a little bit. But Sally is a nurse coach, first and foremost, and she is a lot of other wonderful things as well. So Sally primarily is, I would say, spiritually based. Sally, is that fair to at least place that label upon you? And she does a wide array of things. Sally does trauma work. She does spiritual based coaching. She has a lot of expertise, so many certifications. And she was just telling me that she is going to be exploring a breathwork certification here soon after you were just what is the certification you're just wrapping up right now?
Actually, this is a spiritually based inner child apprenticeship. Yeah. I'm just finishing up a year-long apprenticeship for soul retrieval work with one of my mentors. So I'm on the tail end of that, and breathwork facilitation just started. So
cool. So cool. And what I love hearing your story so far, Sally, is that you love certifications like the best of us in the nurse coaching world, and you do like the work in your coaching practice. Go get as many certifications as your heart desires, as long as we are serving people along the way. And I think that you nail that dance really beautifully. But yeah, inner child work, trauma work, she can coach really anybody under the sun. There's nothing Sally can't do, but we're so glad to have you here and share you with the bigger community today, Sally. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I do kind of say to myself about the certifications, but I have to be honest, any certification that I've done, it's because I participated in my own healing journey around that modality, and it helped me immensely. And that's why I decided to bring it in. I debated a little bit with the breathwork facilitation because I was finishing this up and really trying to get my coaching business, just continually moving along and taking action. So I really meditated on it a lot and thought about it, but I use a lot of somatic work in my practice and personally. And I did feel like it was that one piece. And the reason I actually chose this one, again, is because the first 3 months are really, you're doing a lot of your own work. And through my whole journey, I've done my own work. So anything I bring to my clients is stuff I've worked through or am working through, because my journey is continuous, and I'm okay saying that. I think that's part of what makes sometimes the coach is their medicine, is what they've been working through, right? So that's our medicine, my individual medicine. So a lot of people do trauma work, a lot of people do somatic work. So individually, what they're bringing to the table, personally, is what will resonate with each client, because it just depends, right? It's the energy, the vibration, our connection.
Super clear that you are committed to this journey, Sally. Like in the sense of like, you're not just going and cherry picking buzzword certifications, but that you are experiencing the healing for yourself first and then learning how to serve others in a similar capacity. And I always love hearing about nurse coaches' journeys, because it's kind of like a special concoction that we all bring to the table based on our life experience, based on the certifications and the training that we have, based on what we've invested into ourselves and our own personal development. And no one can recreate that ever. Like, each of it is just completely unique to ourselves. And you have a wide tool belt, my friend, which I think is really, really cool. There's give you 5 more years and there will be probably nothing that you can't handle at that point. You'll have a long list of letters and certifications and titles after your name. You'll have to memorize your alphabet soup there.
That was never really my goal, though. Even as a nurse, my path was always kind of, I didn't plan to be in leadership, and I ended up in leadership. So I never really had like these crazy goals of like, oh, I'm going to get all these certifications, or in coaching and or in my career prior. I think it just kind of, I don't know, just kind of happens, I think, when it's supposed to happen. And it just kind of comes to the same with the nurse coaching. I mean, it wasn't like I was really definitely not looking like I need to get out and do something different. It just kind of arrived at the right time of when I was kind of starting to struggle in my career. I never really went to look for anything. Kind of lands.
Yeah. Ooh, Sally, I'm jealous of that. I feel like you respond really well to subtle invitations via the universe, to where a lot of nurses, myself included, we respond to big face plants by the universe to get our attention. And yeah, I think it's really beautiful how you've navigated your path here. And yeah, I'm excited to hear how this has translated just in your private practice of bringing all these modalities together and serving your clients. And so for everybody listening, a brief background on the connection challenge that we run is we literally just tell all of our clients, like, go connect with humans, go open the door, go have a conversation. There does not have to be an invite attached to that connection, but go say hello, go say happy birthday, go talk to people. That is the only requirement. It is the most loosey-goosey challenge that we run. But is that something that was a challenge for you before, Sally? Was that something that you struggled with?
You know, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about this because I am a bit introverted, but in the hospital setting, I was never introverted. Maybe in a meeting in the beginning of leadership, I was a little introverted, but with my patients, I was never introverted. So when I'm in certain scenarios, I'm not introverted, but in other spaces, I'm not going to be like the life of the party, let's say. I'm definitely more of an empath, going to maybe sit in the corner. But when it comes to like direct connection, I almost thought like I cheated on this because I was like, are you sure I won? Because I took it literally like what you said, just connection. So just connecting, I connected, online on LinkedIn. Like if someone commented on a post, I connected, hey, but I didn't offer anything, which took a lot of pressure off of me. I connected in person. I connected at the store. I connected at the dentist. I connected at just everywhere. I connected with people and was thinking, I'm connecting. Yeah. Check. I'm connecting. I'm having a conversation, because that's how I took the challenge. And so that is not that hard for me. But it is kind of funny because in different scenarios it is. But in this, I was just connecting. There was no attachment to the end goal. There was no, I have to offer this person. How am I going to offer? Is it going to be salesy? Because I have some, I work around that a little bit. I just connected like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
How are you today? what's going on? And I counted it. So at the end, I was like, oh, did I do this right?
Did I
I even
accidentally?
texted you and was like, did I do this right? Because this is just what I did. This was what I was supposed to do, right?
Yeah. I love that you won without the intention of winning. That seems to be maybe a theme on your end, Sally, of like, things just seem to happen for me all the time, which is great. But I heard you say that there was no attachment, or there was no pressure to invite or offer, which took some of the pressure off for you. Do you mind elaborating on that just a little bit? Because I think that's where a lot of folks get hung up of, okay, I'm doing the connection, so they're like 3 steps ahead so that I can invite them to a coaching conversation, so that I can propose, and they're like living in not the present moment, right? They're not actually connecting to the person.
And I struggle. So even when I say things come easy, I definitely didn't say they come easy. Things kind of fell in my lap, I think, when I look back at my career and my coaching now. But it doesn't always come easy. I have my own issues, which is why I've been on a journey of my own self-healing for a while. But if I attach, for me personally, if I am starting to offer out to people, some weeks I'm amazing. I can be like, yep, put a proposal, come for a meeting, come for a discovery call, invite. Other weeks I struggle. So with this, I wasn't even thinking at all about, never in a million years thought about winning. Almost didn't do it. And I thought, well, I could just connect. So I'll just like make a little check mark. I'll just connect. And I had nothing. There was no end game for me with this. It was just, I'm just going to connect. Whoever I talk to is a connection. Anybody I talk to is a connection. I say something nice to the girl at the grocery store, the person behind me. I mean, that's the connection. That's just us personally connecting with each other, human to human. In a world where we're not always doing that. Like, we have our head down, we're in our phone, we're in the line at the grocery store, we're irritated the person in front of us is taking too long, whatever the case may be, because I do all those things too. But I just spent time trying to be present, not doing that. And it actually was a time when I was doing a little kindness challenge for myself on my Facebook feed. So I was really focusing in on like the daily kindness and gratitude. And that just went right along with the connection piece. So I didn't overthink it, which I can absolutely 100% do on a million other things. And I do it all the time. But I didn't with this. I just didn't think it was going to be anything. And I just thought, I'm just going to connect.
Beautiful.
And connection is pretty easy if we're just connecting.
Yeah, it is really easy. I think when we chunk it down, right? Like, as traditional nurses working in the hospital, we connect with people under much more stressful situations than connecting with somebody at the grocery store. Like, we are very great connectors. I have like a file of memories floating through my mind right now of just like, people coming into the ER, being in the middle of a heart attack, and me being able to connect with that person while they're having a heart attack and being like, hey, we got you. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff right now. We're on your team. You're safe. And like, if we can connect with people on one of the scariest moments in their life, we can connect with people on Facebook and at the grocery store. Like, we can absolutely take it down a notch and let it be easy.
Right. Because people, what do we really want in this world? We want connection.
Yeah.
Most of our trauma is related to not being seen and heard, which is, lack of connection at some point in our life. Right. To me, that seems like the biggie that comes up, right? We just didn't feel seen. We didn't feel heard. So, and yeah, I could connect with someone in the hospital, in the most terrible time in the ICU, or when I was on oncology. And I could come out of that conversation knowing if they had a pet and what the name of their dog was.
Right.
They're like half dying. We're getting ready to intubate, and I'm asking them about their pets, which is so silly, but it's just finding a place where you can just get in there and just connect to take their mind off of that and really be interested in them. Like, yes, finding something that they're really connected to. So then you're connecting and you're doing that connection together, if that makes sense. So, I was pretty good at, I mean, I was in the hospital for almost 30 years. So that definitely people were my thing in the hospital. Sometimes not out of the hospital, they weren't, but in the hospital, I could connect easily with
for
people,
sure.
as most nurses can, right? We're in their most dire, like you said, they come in, they're having a heart attack, and we're their person. Like we're maybe their only person. Their family's not there at that moment, and we have to be their person. And so, how do we connect with them?
Right. Absolutely. Beautifully said, Sally, especially about the trauma piece. I know you and I could probably geek out pretty hard on the trauma component here for the remainder of our time. But yeah, if you're feeling weird about connecting with strangers, like recall a time where someone made your day by something really simple, by like saying, "Hey, I love your shoes," or smiled at you, or something really simple, and just how potent those moments can be and how weird the world has been the past few years. Like, I just feel like more than ever, little gestures go a really long way. And you may be listening to this thinking like, okay, Shelby and Sally, this sounds wonderful, but like, what the heck does this all add up to mean? Like, why should I be saying hi to the grocery store lady? You know, like who cares? And I think the premise behind connection is that you are energetically opening up the doors for a magical connection to happen, right? Like it's not going to be, Sally connected. I think it was like, how many people did you connect with? 200? Over 200?
Yeah, it was over 200.
Yeah. Sally does not have 200 clients now. I will spoil the ending to that story.
I wish I could say that.
Yeah. But what Sally did over those 5 or 6 weeks was open the invitation that something really cool could happen. We don't know who the person is behind you at the grocery store. We don't know what CEO they are or who they know or just like where that conversation can lead. And if we're always in our phone looking down, never wanting to talk to people, we are just automatically saying no to any opportunity that could be right in front of us, to where if you are naturally connecting more fluidly, there's a lot more open doors, right? There's a lot more, the potential goes way up for something really cool to happen. And Sally, I'm curious, and feel free to answer 100% honestly here. Was there any, based on all of those connections, did anything evolve? Like, was there ever any future connections, or was there ever any cool moments out of all those?
Nothing evolved as far as a client went, but I honestly did not at all try to sell myself at all. And I feel like any time I connected, sometimes it was pretty subtle, but a lot of times it's weird. I was just thinking about this now. I did not think about this ahead of time, but I was just thinking about it now because, like I said, I was doing this thing on Facebook, like so many days of kindness and posting every day.
Right.
And so I felt energetically like that time frame, I was so much more open. And these past few weeks, honestly, I've been like a little bit, my vibration I've been struggling a teeny bit, just personally, which I tend to kind of go up and down. And I'm open about that because I don't think it's always, everything is just, connect, we're always connecting and it's always perfect, because that's not reality. But I think the combination, as I'm sitting here talking and thinking about it, the combination of me being so positive on my feed and then going out with my vibration, my energy being more open and connecting, you just put a different vibration around yourself, which then attracts other people. So I can't think of like anything like crazy special that happened, but I think that is the maybe crazy special part. It was just about connection, just simple connection. There was no, maybe there was something that happened but nothing that I can think of offhand. I think it was just simple, like kindness and connection, and with other humans, which we don't always do. And sometimes I don't always do,
right?
Because I'm in my own head. So I think that time frame, I don't know, just taught me a lesson as we were sitting here talking. Sweet. I just got a lesson from that about, how important that is. Not to be on all the time, because we can't be on all the time and we can't always be. We have to like protect our energy, or like all of us, some of us, a lot of us, I think, are introverts, and so we have to kind of watch that a little bit. But yeah, I don't know that anything special happened, and maybe that's the secret sauce. It didn't have to be anything incredibly profoundly successful. It was just connecting human to human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sally, can you imagine if we told all of the introverts that listen to this podcast that they had to be on all of the time when they went to the grocery store? They would be like, all right, that's it. I'm out. I'm never doing this ever. But I love what the essence of what you're saying here is, that there was some beautiful medicine for you, even in just the connecting with other people and noticing the trend between, like, I was really high vibe showing up on social media and it translated to in person as well. And I do think that, like, with especially social media, because there can be follow-up, right? Like the relationship is still continuing every time you log into your Facebook account, that the people that you connected with online during that time, that's still a tiny seed. That's still something that we get to nurture over, And I was just having this conversation in another mentorship group of the idea of warming up leads, taking a stranger that you've literally never met on the internet. And they were getting frustrated because they're like, well, how do I convert them to being warm? How do I expedite this process? And I called her out on it. I was like, well, that's being attached to the outcome. Right. So like that puts a weird pressure on it that makes everything feel icky and salesy, to where if there's a genuine way for you to connect with her, awesome. And then like, let it go. And then there will be another opportunity for you to connect, or make a Facebook post that will invite them to connect with you. And it's a little bit of a long game as well of when we're kind of out theoretically or hypothetically throwing the seeds in the garden. It takes time and care.
Yeah, it's hard not to compare, especially if you're watching social media, and I struggle with this and then have to, slow my feeds down. And I've started to accept that sometimes it's just a slow burn. And sometimes with my clients, that's what I say to them. This isn't like you're going to be, you're not broke. So you're not going to be fixed overnight. We're just bringing in new tools and having you look at things, reframing things for you. You're not broken. But it can't always happen in 3 months, or, sometimes it has to be a slow burn because it depends on the person. And for me, although I would love it to be like a fast, but I think, it's going to be a slow burn for me. And I'm starting to like be okay with that. Just keep moving forward and taking action, and learning the lessons and everything. Like literally I'm laughing to myself because of something I've been like struggling with. And during this podcast, I'm like, oh, that's a real lesson about that connection and where I was at in that little time frame. Yeah, interesting. And that's what I try to take from stuff now, is like, what is the lesson here? Because it's not all perfect and rosy. This is a lot of us changing our careers. For me, a 30-year career in the same hospital was a big transition for me. And now entrepreneurship is a whole another ball game, right?
Yes, it is. And I think there's something to be said about this slow burn, right? So I hope that Laura and I do a good enough job conveying this, but I'll restate it here just for anyone who needs to hear it. Of like, my first year of practice and Laura's was wildly unpredictable. We did hit some like hot moments, right? Where we signed 2 or 3 clients at once and it was really exciting, but then there would be, 4 to 6 months of nothing. And then it like came in hot waves, but we both still, like you're talking about here, Sally, still showed up. We're still working the process. We're controlling the things we can control. And even through my second year of practice, it was like each year I got a little bit more consistent. Like I was building capacity for it all. And then it really took to like 3.5 years for things to be reliably consistent in the same way if I felt about getting a paycheck. Like I know that clients will come, and I know, but it was not a second before 3.5 years that I felt that way. And had I not, or had Laura and I not taken the slow burn time to still feed the fire, stoke the coals, to still keep it hot, it never would have had a chance to take off. So like this part that a lot of you are in of figuring a lot of things out, transitioning careers, like, you know, having a few clients, like it's all important to the bigger vision that I know you have in your heart.
It is. And a lot of, well, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but for myself, I mean, I've been on my own healing journey. So like I said in the beginning, anything that I've incorporated into my practice is stuff that has helped me personally. I had some chronic nerve pain that I was able to heal through meditation, breath work, and settling, you know, regulating my nervous system. So like I was a nurse for 30 years. No one ever taught me that. Like, you know, we did little things, but we weren't really, you know, there's so much magic that we can bring back out into the world as far as the stuff we're learning, but we're also peeling back our own layers, right? You guys talk about that all the time, doing your own personal work. So I've been doing my own personal work. So there's ups and downs with that. And how do you do that, you know, and still move forward and give yourself some grace and compassion if you have a couple of weeks where you're just, you know, you need to be your introverted self, and that's okay, versus this high vibration introvert that's out connecting to everybody at the grocery store and starting to learn how to manage your own energy, which is not something I ever even talked about, right? My energy, I didn't talk about that. And the only thing I talked about was the full moon, you know, at the hospital and how crazy it was. But it was like a thing way off. I didn't really even understand like how that really does affect, you know, how we're feeling. So yeah, for me, I do believe it's going to be a slow burn, and starting to accept that and not compare and allow myself it to be my journey. Because people are always watching, right? People are like, oh, what is she doing? And, you know, what's going on? And they may not be a client today, but they may be a client. Or someone called me the other day for something. She's not a client, but I don't know that she won't be a client. And she called me for some advice, and I gave her the advice, and I didn't feel like it was appropriate to pitch her at that moment.
Right.
And I was letting it sit with her because she was having some health issues, and I'll follow back up with her because I do still have some work around the pitching a part of things. I like it to feel pretty natural, but I also know that this is a business, and you know, I want to replace my salary. So yeah. And I think for each of us, it's, you know, how we internally feel, and again, how we're not attached to the outcomes, because whenever I'm not attached to the outcomes, things come in much more readily than when I start to overthink things. So that's just so much resistance when I start to overthink, and scarcity, and it's not going to work. And that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's just not positive.
Yeah. We know what doesn't work, Sally. And
we still do it, but
me too, especially the overthinking piece. But yeah, that's good wisdom for our folks listening here. And kind of one last thing that was coming to mind on this like slow burn effect is that like there is real joy to be experienced whenever you can show up to what is actually going on and celebrate all of the wins that you are having, like how Sally pulled out that nugget from her connection experience, and not be mad at what's not happening or how you thought it should go. So like you can kind of get in this inner war with yourself of being mad and grieving what you thought it was going to be, versus showing up to what is, which is likely laying the foundation for something more beautiful and epic than you had originally planned in the first place. And I read a book once about that whole topic of showing up to what is versus what you thought it was going to be. And their whole point was that's the thief of joy right there. Of if we can show up to what's actually happening, what's actually going on, all of the good that is floating around in your bubble, that is way more fulfilling and sustainable than stomping our feet and being mad at what we thought it was going to be or how we thought it was going to play out. And I would like to go on the record. I was just on the side note here, Sally, like you have made more money since March and within your first year practice than Laura and I combined in our first year of practice. So your slow burn is hotter, my friend. It is hotter than what ours was in the beginning. And yeah, I know that your goal of replacing your income is like right around, not too far around the corner here.
I hold on to I set my intentions and I manifest the crap out of stuff. And I just know that when I signed up and I talked to Heather for the collective, I remember I was in my office and I was like, yeah, I so have to do this. And from that point on, everything else evolved. I signed up for yoga, a yoga sir. I didn't even do yoga that much. I remember my husband was like, "You're going to be a yoga instructor?" And I'm like, I don't know. I feel nudged to do this. And that's where I met the woman Kim Beekman, that I have been doing so much spiritual healing and training with. And then I met the shaman to do my Reiki master, and then ended up in Peru and, up by myself with a group of people that I didn't know. So everything has been a little nudge, and I have kind of listened to those nudges, and I just keep thinking there's no way I had all these nudges and there's not something at the end. And that doesn't mean it's going to be the huge bucket of leprechaun money at the bottom of the rainbow, but I do believe it's for the greater good. And there's a reason that I left my 30-year career that I did not feel aligned with anymore because of the burnout and, what's happening in healthcare. That's a whole other podcast, but what's happening in healthcare. And I was in a leadership position. I was a director of nursing. So very unaligned, and all these nudges came for a reason. So just holding on to the fact that there's a reason that I'm here right now with you talking about this, and like what's going to come in the future for me, and just trying to hold on to that, because it's not always easy. The entrepreneur piece, and even sometimes the connection piece, right? Especially if we're introverted.
For sure. Yeah. It's all,
but when you put yourself out there like that, it does change your dynamic, and the people around you shift. And I can honestly say that for the people that are struggling with their husbands, with entrepreneurship, like that was a big deal for me to quit my job and get him to shift. But, he shifted when I started to shift with my own healing, my own ownership, and my own personal responsibility around what I wanted to do, and being able to speak that. He started to shift. And so it is our personal responsibility to take care of ourselves, and then people around us will, usually come along, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a whole tangent I want to go on about that, Sally, but I will shorten it to say that that is the easiest way to get the people in your life on board, if they're not already inclined for personal development, is you don't pull, you don't drag, you don't force, you don't give ultimatums, is that you lead. You lead first, you jump in first, and you go on the retreat and you bring it home. Like there's not two different versions of yourself, right? And that is such a beautiful example of how that plays out in real life. Thank you.
Yeah, when you stop hiding in the corner, hiding in the corner, meditating, or whatever it is, your flavor of your own self-development and where you are in journey, when you stop hiding it and you own it, they start to look at it differently.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that nugget with us. That was so good. Sally, I want to end on this question right here. So if there is a nurse coach listening, which I can guarantee that there is, that is sweating in their shoes about connecting with people, they're might be on the more introverted side, they are unsure about their voice and how to use it in relation to connection, is there like just some straight up advice that you could give them?
Just do it. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. Don't try to be anybody else. Just be yourself. Just be, whether you're quiet, whether you're outgoing, whether you're silly, whether you're crazy, whatever. I've been called all of those. And just be yourself, because there's people out there that that just connect to that. It's just that human connection, which we in society are just lacking.
Yeah.
Because of technology, in my opinion. But so we're lacking that, we're in our phones, right? So just connect, just say hello.
Yeah.
Just say, how are you? Just say, you look good today, whatever. People are a little shocked, but I'd say 99.9% of the time, it puts a smile on their face. And because just think how you feel when someone connects with you. Yeah, I was at the grocery store the other day and the cashier didn't even respond. I think he grunted at me and he was a young kid, but I was thinking, God, what, but it really it makes a difference, right? Just connect, just do it. Don't offer, don't sell yourself, don't do anything like that. Just spend a month just connecting with people.
Yeah. Good advice, Sally. And yeah, team, there's no secret sauce here. It's be you and just do it. Be you, take the pressure off and just do it. And yeah, let's get connecting. Let's do the thing. And Sally, I'm so intrigued just to hear how this continues to unfold over time. I know that I've done seasons of connecting in my practice 2, 3, 4 years ago, and they are now starting to pop back into my inbox or reach out. And so I'm excited to hear the update from you, even if it's 4 years from now, when you're like, hey, remember that time I accidentally won the connection challenge? Now they're all coming back. I think that's going to be beautiful. But team, if you are listening and if you're resonating with Sally, you have questions for Sally, she exists on Facebook, and we're going to have all of her contact information down at the bottom for you. But Sally is just a really warm spirit to be around. Go connect with her on Facebook. And or Sally, is Facebook the place? Would you prefer somewhere else?
No, I have my stuff on Facebook. I am mindset coaching on Facebook and Instagram, and I just finished my website, which was
Whoop, whoop.
a long thing. So SallyDavidsonCoach.com. But yeah, so any of those places, can email me, can connect on any of those places. But yeah.
All right, Sally. Well, thank you for sharing your experience with us today. It is super valuable. And yeah, like I said, I'm really looking forward to the follow-up and seeing what evolves. But thanks for spending your time with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, team. So come find us. Come find Sally in the Successful Nurse Coach Facebook group. We're hanging out in there. If you have questions about connection, or maybe you can even out yourself on how you're making it weird and how you plan to pivot, I would love to hear that update. But the Successful Nurse Coach Facebook page, it is free. We are all there, and we will see you same time, same place next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.